Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into how a really groundbreaking, research-backed public health intervention is using what's known as frugal tech to completely rewrite a nation's health story. We are looking at a project that sits right at the fascinating intersection of molecular data, predictive modeling, and citizen-led digital health. It's called EatRight Naija.
So, let's kick things off with a pretty staggering number that grounds this entire initiative. Non-communicable diseases are now responsible for over 70% of deaths in Nigeria today. We're talking about chronic conditions like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and hypertension. These are skyrocketing, and it's largely driven by poor nutrition and changing dietary habits. And unfortunately, it actually gets a bit heavier. Right now, more than 30% of Nigerian children under 5 are stunted, and around 20% are wasted. It's a severe, hidden health crisis fueled by inadequate nutrient intake and, frankly, a massive lack of reliable, accessible support for the average citizen.
To understand how we actually bridge the gap between high-level science and local, on-the-ground realities, here is the roadmap we're going to follow. First, we'll look at Nigeria's hidden health crisis. Second, we'll meet EatRight Naija. Third, we'll open up the predictive nutrition engine. Fourth, we'll talk about frugal tech for local needs. And finally, scaling for global impact.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Nigeria's hidden health crisis.
Building on those earlier numbers regarding children, over 60% of reproductive age women in Nigeria are anemic. This really highlights a glaring gap in the contemporary healthcare landscape across sub-Saharan Africa. You see, the urgent need isn't just about providing more food. It's about providing accessible, precise, and data-driven nutritional intervention that everyday citizens can easily use in their daily lives.
Moving right along to Section 2, meet EatRight Naija, our digital solution.
When you first look at EatRight Naija, you might think, oh, it's just another diet app. But actually, it's more like a Trojan horse for a massive, highly sophisticated public health intervention. You start at a clean, simple splash screen, move into an onboarding flow that explains how everything works, and then you arrive at this really intuitive dashboard. For minute 1, you can start setting personal health goals and adjusting preferences for your specific diet and allergies.
Once you're in, you can browse recipes tailored exactly to those preferences. But remember, this is not just a digital cookbook. Every single recipe comes with deeply detailed nutritional information. We're talking exact calories, carbohydrates, fat content, minerals, vitamins, the whole shebang. It essentially acts as a daily food and physical activity tracker, right in your pocket.
But here is the real kicker, the thing that makes this platform so interesting. It pairs that personalized tracking with direct access to actual registered dietitians alongside some really smart gamification. You can literally earn rewards and points for hitting weight loss milestones or just for tracking your meals consistently for a week. By rewarding these good habits, the system actively encourages long-term, sustainable lifestyle changes.
Okay, let's pop the hood for Section 3, the predictive nutrition engine.
So, beneath that very user-friendly interface is an open-source, mathematically rigorous predictive engine, and it uses a fascinating dual data architecture. It takes encrypted user biometrics, things like age, BMI, or a documented condition like hypertension, and it matches them against a massive curated regional database. We're talking over 500 indigenous Nigerian and intercontinental recipes, all specifically mapped to combat over 100 critical ailments.
Now, the absolute breakthrough here is how it processes that mountain of data. By using what researchers call native biological tokens, the engine stays incredibly lightweight. Instead of forcing a smartphone processor to read long, complex recipe texts using heavy AI models, the algorithm just assigns simple, discrete mathematical values directly to the nutrients. It's brilliant because it keeps the app incredibly fast. All of this powers a really clever 3-stage loop. Step 1 is risk optimization, which sets hard biological boundaries, like, say, a strict daily sodium cap for a hypertensive user. Step 2 is predictive recipe synthesis, simulating how those specific regional foods will affect your metabolism over a 7-day window. And Step 3 is dynamic behavioral tracking, which automatically tweaks your future meal plans if you happen to deviate. It constantly works to keep your health trajectory on track.
Which brings us to Section 4, frugal tech for local needs.
You might be wondering, why go through all the trouble of building this specific, tokenized architecture? Well, think about massive billion-dollar Western cloud computing centers. They are incredibly powerful, but they require a ton of infrastructure.
By contrasting that with EatRight Naija's framework, you see the true power of frugal innovation. Because the models operate on those lightweight tokens, this complex math can run smoothly on basic low-power smartphones. It easily scales across areas with low internet connectivity without relying on expensive cloud servers.
And the coolest part? People absolutely want this. Preliminary data shows that out of over 120 respondents surveyed, there was a massive, overwhelming yes across the board. Intense interest in the app, high marks for relevance, and a strong desire to use it for personal health goals. The community is more than ready for this kind of digital intervention.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, Scaling for Global Impact.
Taking this from an academic concept, which was originally proposed by Dr. Saheed Adebisi in 2023 at Osun State University, to a real-world tool takes a very precise roadmap. It requires a methodical, 6-stage process. You transition from early planning and wireframes right through rigorous testing into a full public launch, and finally, a continuous cycle of maintenance driven entirely by live user feedback. The full ambition of this project is kind of mind-blowing, and it's captured perfectly in its academic title. It is so much more than a diet app. It's practically a blueprint for AI governance and biofunctional resource deployment. Crucially, by keeping verifiable geographic metadata, the platform actively protects indigenous agricultural history and ethnobotanical knowledge from digital biopiracy. It ensures transparency every step of the way.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. If a beautifully designed, token-optimized smartphone app can take raw biological data and local recipes and turn them into a citizen-led health revolution, all while bypassing the need for billion-dollar infrastructure, what other global crises could frugal innovation solve next?